Hello, everybody. My name's John Halker. I am a psychotherapist from St. Peter Port, and also on screen with me is my colleague a long way away, and Pete Grange. And Pete runs a very well-known advertising digital marketing agency called OI, which is an abbreviation of Offshore International, but I much prefer OI. Peter and I got to know each other a long time ago, probably, I don't know, 10 years or so ago. No, and for all sorts of reasons, and there's a lot of personal stuff in here that we both, shared online. We got to having general chats about mental health and depression and bipolar stuff and suicide, and life moved on. Pete and I both had our own life experiences, shall we say, the ups and downs of ordinary life, when all sorts of things went well and all sorts of things went wrong for both of us. And we bumped into each other about 2 or 3 years ago now, and we, over a beer, as so many of these things start, Pete and I started talking about the subject of there's an app for this and there's an app for that and there's an app for all sorts of different things. Many years ago, I was involved in a company that developed decision support software for doctors, so I'm no stranger to the world of the use of IT in health. And we moved back to the subject of suicide, and both of us went, is there an app for that? And we had a look around, and there were one or two things that people had made, good efforts to build apps that would be helpful and supportive, but we thought we could do a lot better. And over quite a period of time, both of us doing it in our spare time, and both of us bringing different skills to the party, we developed an app called Better Stop Suicide. And I think we launched that in February 2019. Pete will leap in and correct me if I've got any dates or numbers wrong. And what was fascinating was the enormously positive response to that. And what that app does in brief, I mean, please go and download it if you're curious. It's free. It's called Better Stop Suicide.
I can share a link to it in a minute, actually.
Okay, thanks, Pete. If you've never had a suicidal thought, you probably haven't reached the age of 25, or you probably haven't lived. But there's a difference between having a suicidal thought and really thinking about it and even having a plan to take your own life. It is obviously a very, very difficult and sensitive subject. And so we needed to find a way around it to bring best evidence to the world of suicide prevention. And we looked around the world at the best there was in the UK, the US, most of the English-speaking world, and beyond, in fact. And we came up with a way of threading all that into an app that's quick and easy to use, and that somebody can have, as a friend in their pocket. It includes all sorts of things, but it helps people look at different aspects of their life that might be causing them that temporary, even if persistent, stress and depth of despair. If people are suicidal, essentially what's happened is they have lost hope, and they've lost hope over a considerable period of time. So that's the first really important thing that we did. And Pete and his tech guys and his creative team did this fantastic job. They came up with an app that still sits there today. I have to throw away my natural modesty for a little while and say that it won a .com award, a platinum.com award, which was awarded to us, I think, towards the end of last year. And we were absolutely delighted to receive that. But the most amazing thing is the feedback that we get. We've got emails. Unfortunately, because it's a sensitive nature, we can't actually share names and things, but we've got emails from an 11-year-old kid in Madison, Wisconsin, from some people in South Dakota who run a mental health facility where they give it to anybody that leaves. A couple of NHS trusts in the UK, mental health trusts, who use it as part of their toolkit. It's safe to say that we've got emails and contact and feedback from across the English-speaking world about lives it has saved, and it is so gratifying when that happens. Also, we had a lady contact us from Italy who had suffered some emotional and mental health issues herself. She's a very, very fluent English speaker, now back in Italy, and she has asked if she can translate everything into Italian and put it out there to the 60 million odd people that there are in Italy who might be finding things difficult. So, spurred on by this success, we decided to come up with an app that would help people in a slightly different way.
John, can I just say just as well,
Peter,
just other things to add to the Better Stop Suicide app. So it's been downloaded by over 50,000 people globally. Interestingly, 75% of those people are Apple, so iOS users. So 75% of the people that have used it to use Apple. Now, whether that is because Apple people are more creative, don't know. But there's some interesting stats. Our biggest markets are America, and then the UK, and then all places from all over the world. But it's been really interesting. Generally, people use it about 4 or 5 times. So we obviously have a lot of analytics, which is one of the benefits of building apps, is you get a lot of data and insights, but a lot of it is private, but it does give us insight in how we develop our products out. So yeah, it's been very rewarding. Personally, it was a project that we both did, as John said, free of charge, with enormous amount of our own time. I think there was about 120 people around the world that were testers on that app, ranging from top psychotherapists down to everyday people, and it was over a year in development. But it's definitely it's got a 5-star rating as well across the app stores as well. So with any apps, your ratings and reviews is very important. So we're really proud of that one, and it was done with with good cause in mind, purely to help other people, and it proved to us that technology and apps they're not the solution, but they can help people in desperate need, and it's done that, and it continues to do that. And it also, probably no surprise, but in the last 3 months, the downloads of that Better Stop Suicide have increased by about 250%. So because of what's been going on in the world, and it's helped people from all ages. So we're really proud of that, and that sort of spurred us on to develop the really formalized the Better App company, which John will now continue to talk about.
Thanks, Pete. Gave me a break to have a glug. Yes, Pete and I formed the company, I think, in August last year. I think both of us were very wrapped up in all sorts of personal goings on in our life. So it took us a while to get there, but we decided to come up with a different app that took a slightly different approach. Many of you will perhaps be aware of that there are a number of apps out there that deal with mindfulness and general calming down stuff and that sort of thing, and there's some very good ones out there, and some that haven't quite made the grade in our view. But we decided we would come up with something much better, and we came up with an app called Better. And if you go into any of the app stores and just search Better app, two words, you will find a nice green looking thing, and Pete, I think, is going to put up a link there. If you go to our website, there's links there for whether you've got Android or Apple iOS. And we decided that one of the things we would do is approach it on a very scientific basis. We did our research again. We looked at what is evidence based in my world of psychotherapy, because there's a lot of stuff out there for which there really is no evidence base in terms of helping mental health. But it was important to get that solid acceptance to it. We give people an opportunity in the app to measure their own well-being. And if you download the app, you'll see there's the option that prompts you to go through an emotional needs check. This is, I should emphasize, this is all done completely anonymously. There's no way that we can get aggregated data. We can't find out anything about you from the app. But it will give you a well-being score out of 160. And it asks about all sorts of stuff to do with your emotional health. It asks about all sorts of stuff to do with other aspects of your health. It talks about sleep. Please go download the app, have a look for yourself. Your emotional needs check will give you a well-being score. And then what it does is it tailors answers. There is no one size fits all. It has a thing in there which will help you learn to breathe in a particular way. And it has some stuff in there which will encourage you to get a bit of exercise and do those basics. There is a premium content for which we charge, I think it's £4.99 a month or £49.99 for the whole year. And what you can incidentally sign up and just try that absolutely free for a month, see whether you like it. But what is in there is a huge amount of stuff, and we put in 2 new audio files every week. Unfortunately, up to now, it's just my voice in there, but over a period of time, we will get a good female voice, and we will get a variety of voices in there. But this is all content that we've come up with, again, after running our own clinical trials on the content for a period of time. And we got people to measure their own well-being improvement after using the app and using that content that is in the app, which was, again, enormously gratifying in the results that it got. I will not, I promise you, bore you by giving you loads and loads and loads of stuff about all the features that is in there. But what I can tell you is that we have had not one person that has ever given us any negative feedback. There are a few people where their well-being score has stayed almost exactly the same, but the very vast majority of self-reported results demonstrate an absolutely clear improvement in well-being. That well-being score and that way of looking at it is how we've condensed that down to a way that will work inside an app. And I think there's 20 questions, and it'll take you a minute to go through them, but it will give you a very clear thing. There's a lot of discussion in my world about happiness. What is it? The American Constitution says we have the right to pursue happiness. I once gave a talk to a big high school in California, and a young guy very much on the front foot said, we're American, we've got a right to happiness. And I said, I don't think so, but you do have a right to pursue happiness. But we never fall into the trap of trying to sell happiness. What is happiness? Is it an absence of unhappiness? There's all sorts of different ways of looking at it. But what we do is we focus down on real needs. What is it? A human being that thrives. How do you get somebody to thrive? You get them to feel safe and secure in their home and their work and environment. You get them to have sufficient quantity and quality of exchange of attention between themselves and other people. You get them to have a sense of freedom and choice and control and autonomy in their lives. You get them to connect with people, real people. I don't mean Facebook friends. I mean real people, to connect in ways which are healthy and sustainable, to have friendships, to get a sense of belonging. That very primitive thing about us, of being part of a tribe, which will keep us safe from another tribe, of having status, of feeling good about ourselves, feeling as though we're achieving things, and having meaning and purpose in life. That's a very broad brushstroke look at what those needs are. And the app will take you through those in a much more efficient way than that. But what it will also do, it will enable you to look at other aspects of your life, like sleep and diet and exercise, and whether you're having panic attacks, whether you've been traumatized by something in the past that's, you know, holding you back. So it's a really good, well tried and tested method, but you know, we've done it in an innovative package, if you like, of just looking at your well-being score. That is in the free bit of the app. We have suggested to a number of different governments of small islands that they should simply take up this app and give it free of charge to absolutely everybody in their populations that have got smartphones, and come up with a well-being measurement of the island nations to which we've sent them. We haven't actually received a reply yet, but we are always optimistic.
Yeah, considering that I copied in about 15 deputies as well to not get a response back is a bit of a shame.
Let's not name names, Pete. There are many other small island nations.
Yeah.
Who
I mean, I could talk quickly as well about the statistics and so on. So it's still early days with the Better app, but it is available on the global app stores on, as John mentioned, so on iOS, which is for Apple, and Google, which is for Android. It's quite interesting. It wasn't on purpose, but about 75% of our audience are female, aged between about 22 and 45. So there's a big female audience.
You're all included in that.
Yeah. It's used for, on average, about 6 to 8 minutes a day, the app. So you start getting some very interesting data insights. And the core markets are America and the UK, where we've been getting them, the visitors from. And it's growing nicely, but it's still early days, obviously, in terms of the app, because it's only really been live since the beginning of May. So we're into just concluding the second month. And during that period, from a marketing perspective, it's very much about test and learn. So our marketing strategy has been quite broad brush, but the most effective results we've had are through in-app advertising. So actually promoting the app within the app stores, which you can do. So that's been very effective for us. And then it's quite a minefield, actually, if you are considering building your own mental health or health app. The app stores are very complicated. The analytics from the app stores are very complicated.
The app store market is the Wild West.
It is, yeah. But you can decipher info from there. But it takes quite a lot of experience. And I guess having done this for the last couple of years now, we've got that experience to see what's going on. Really, the way we're looking at the moment is, and our plan is to run it for 3 months to gain all the data. And we analyze it as we go, and we've got a big session next week to look at the data further. But it is really promising, the growth of the people who are interested in using the app, which is a positive thing. So
yeah, I think hindsight has great wisdom, doesn't it? But if we'd known that we would need £200,000 just to market it against the incumbent, the leaders in the market, it would have been great. So I think for us,
they're spending a lot more. I mean, Calm at the moment spends about 1.5 million a month marketing their app. Calm does. Headspace is not far behind that. I mean, the mental health app world has exploded in the last couple of years. Really, Calm and Headspace came from a meditation perspective, and they still are. And but as John said, they do a really good. They're really good apps. I guess from our point, they've become very big, a bit like what I'd say the Netflix effect. So Netflix is now absolutely quite a challenge to find something good on it because there's so much content. So part of what we've held on to and what we want to keep is that it's about simplicity. Is the Better app being a nice simple app to use, and as John said, if you download it, the interface, the way it's designed, it's a scrolling interface. It's nice and simple, which is what we feel it needs to be. Yeah. But there's lots of insights that we have gained. There's things we've done which we would definitely do differently, even down to the technology. So A lot of apps are built on a platform called Cordova, which is a technology for building apps. We would not use it again going forward. We'd actually use something called React. If anybody is thinking of building apps, there's a software called React, which is definitely it's a much more seamless tech to build apps on, health tech apps, primarily because it enables you to integrate feeds, or what are called API feeds from other apps. Cordova has lots of problems with that. So that would be a little bit of advice if you are thinking about building an app, is use a technology called React, which is open source for people.
Pete, can I just say, if anybody's thinking about building an app, come and talk to us.
Yeah.
We won't put you off, but we will give you a realistic picture of what it's likely to look like, and how, just to pick up on Pete's point again, this is not a get rich quick scheme.
No.
Whilst we are in the very, very early days, we're not expecting to do brilliant. We hope to look back on this in 5 to 10 years time and say, okay, that gave a good account of itself. But the App Store is so crowded these days that unless there's really massive innovation and something changes, it might be one of those slow and steady burn things.
It's you need a lot of money and some luck, I think, to really take off, or to be right time, right place as well. So, for example, Calm, Headspace, they were definitely the innovators, and they were right time, right place, and their numbers are phenomenal. But there is a lot of change in the health tech sector and in the app sector for sure. So you just got to really, it's about understanding the audiences and how you communicate with them, and how big thing in apps is about reviews as well, and ratings. So we've been very, as I said, we have 5-star rating of 4.9 or something like that, 4.8 star rating. So it's really important, the quality of the app and the ratings, and then a lot of it's about word of mouth as well, and what you do in the social channels. So we have a lot of content that we create regularly. We work on 2 bi-monthly content plans across our social channels. So we use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We've been trialing TikTok and LinkedIn, but we put out content regularly, and the engagement in that is growing as well. But I'm sure if people have been on social channels and looked at all the different mental health pages and profiles, that it's immense. It's huge, and it's definitely mushroomed in the last couple of months with what's been going on with the COVID-19. We took one of the interesting things that happened as well was when we were launching the Better app, which we launched it pretty much when the COVID-19 outbreak was happening. That wasn't planned. It was just, we'd been working on it for the last year, and it all dovetailed. But we made the decision the very 11th hour to add in some COVID-19 content into the app, which we thought would be beneficial to everybody. Needless to say, we didn't realize that the app stores put a blanket ban and blocked any app submissions that had COVID-19 in it. So we had about 2 or 3 weeks of trying to get Google to actually approve the app on the App Store, which in the end, we had to rip out all the COVID-19 content and resubmit it. But so there's been lots of trials and tribulations.
It's fascinating how Apple and Google have become the world police at what you're allowed to say. If you say something absolutely outrageous, the BBC and CNN will come and point a camera at you and broadcast it to millions of people worldwide. It's an odd world, but we
gave that away for free in the end via our website. So we gave
go and look on the website. You can get all our COVID-19 content for at the click of a button. One thing, Pete, I don't know if you were covering this, but what is worth mentioning, Pete and his very, very clever tech team, who in my deserve a huge round of applause for what they've done. But they have created this app so that it could be white labeled. So if a company wants to bring out their own well-being app, either for their staff or for their customers, or for anybody as a giveaway. It's a great way of branding. The XYZ Company Limited Wellbeing app. It's got the same content in it, but we also give them a content management system of their own, and they can put their own message from the chairman in there, or whatever it is that they want to do. So it's going to take us a while to get round to being able to utilize that fully, but the technology is available. I think if Pete didn't have an agency to run across the UK, Guernsey and Jersey, and I didn't have a busy psychotherapy clinic to run, and we had a couple of £100,000, this thing would be sailing. So we are having to just, this is a thing we do in our spare time. We're tiptoeing through it. We're building it up, but we are very, very confident of the quality of the content, and B, the way in which it's being delivered, and lastly, the benefits that people get from it. We've got great feedback already from the clinical trials.
Yeah.
Pete, have we covered everything?
Probably not.
We decided not to do death by PowerPoint for you. Pete and I are both, okay kind of thing. We thought we'd busk our way through it. So this is completely unrehearsed, and it probably shows. But I think that covers the bulk of it. Yeah,
I agree. I think it's definitely still very early days, but and we are taking it slowly and building it slowly, and that's important. I think that you take small steps rather than giant steps. You can make a giant step and you can get it wrong, and again, there's a lot. We take great care and pride in having a good rating and review. The quality of the app is the key thing for us. So we're happy with the way it's growing gradually. And as John said, there's lots of other opportunities, and then there's areas within the app that we want to develop out as well. One of the areas at the moment is you can link to a qualified therapist network, which is through Human Givens, which people may have heard of. But we are going to look at building out our own therapy network, a qualified network via the app, which will be just an enhanced feature of it. We are looking at doing multiple or different language versions. So as John mentioned, Italian, Spanish, Chinese, and we will actually submit specific localized versions of the apps into those respective app stores. That's on the we have a development roadmap for the app, which is what we're looking at next as well. And really, just to keep it growing, and we are running an advertising campaign, but a very, very small one around it at the moment. And it's good to see it progressing, and we feel it's taken. It's been a long journey, but it's been a rewarding journey as well. So it's not just about, this is not about money. It's about doing it for a good cause as well. Very much a good cause, and helping other people who may not be able to access therapists or afford to access therapists, or just because of the time of the day, or where they are needing some support and help. And I think it's quite evident that mental health issues, I mean, the World Health Organization stats say 1 in 6 people in an organization, so 1 in 6 employees, are suffering from a mental health issue at any one time. And that's a massive number. So over 20% of staff or anybody has got a mental health issue, and we feel that the app can help people with that, and so there's a good thing that we're doing as well.
Pete, I do think it's important to say as well, at some point in the future, if we can find the wherewithal to do it, there will be another app called Better Beat Depression, Better Escape Anxiety, Better Leave Addiction. Once that template is there, and those, it grows. We hope that we will find a way to make it grow into, you know, a number of different apps, which will be of real use. And you know, Pete made the really important point. It's okay for people here in Guernsey. All they need to do is pick up the phone, come to my clinic, and I'll help them. There are millions of people around the world who, just because of geography, because of their circumstances, or they live in a healthcare system that you know, that just doesn't work for some reason, who do not have access to really important support and just basic psychoeducation, understanding how your brain works, how your mind works, are really important, you know, parts of it. So
it helps me as well. I mean, from my personal perspective, I listen to all the audios every week. On the other day, and sat on a bench in the garden and listened to the conspiracy theory audio, which was very, very good, and about control. And so yeah, it's good to have, as you mentioned earlier, John. It's almost like having a therapist in your pocket. And some people, you know, I do my emotional needs test, my wellbeing test every week, and on a Friday I do it each Friday to see whether I'm plus or minus how I'm doing. If I'm having a tough time or I can't sleep, I'll put the audios on. You can favorite the audios as well, so you can have you've got a little.
That's why Pete's desperate to find a female voice. He's fed up with listening to me.
And I think it's very much about purpose over profit, really. That's why we've built the Better App company. That's why we created it and what we've been doing. We do think there's a commercial aspect to it, maybe somewhere down the line, but it's certainly not our priority. It's about helping other people, really, and helping ourselves as well in doing what we've done. Now, for me, the Better Stop Suicide app was a very good way of putting on a positive rather in what was a very challenging time of my life. So it's about turning bad situations into good situations. So yeah, it's been a good journey, and we're still it's very early on in the journey, really, for us. So if anybody wants to ask any questions or anything, we're more than happy to answer those now. And if not, then
it means we've explained it all so thoroughly that nobody has any questions.
Yeah, I think the best, you know, obviously to go download them and have a look at them if you want to. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Great.
Yeah.
I'll just say quickly that I think, yeah, it was great. You did cover everything really comprehensively, so thank you very much. With the wellbeing score that you do the initial questionnaire, is that separated into different elements, or is it just like one thing?
No, every single question you answer, but basically as you go through it all, at the end it will give you I think the maximum you could score will be 160, and it say, you know, you've got 115 out of 160, but then below it goes through each of the scores. But if you've scored low on any one particular thing, it picks up a pile of text which you can read, which then, you know, helps you focus on the things that you might benefit from doing. So, you know, you would then move down to the next one and have a look at that. If you've scored very highly because you're just feeling very, very secure in your work, and that's not an issue in your life, it will, you know, congratulate you on that, amplify a little bit why that's important, but then, you know, move on to the next answer to the question. So it really helps you have a detailed look at what it is that helps you thrive, helps us all thrive. These needs and these resources are all things that we were born with. They're part of your genetic inheritance that goes back, you know, for a long, long way. And those emotional needs and these tools that we've got, you know, the tools that you've got are things that you take for granted. Your imagination, your ability to have a pattern matching brain, your ability to dream, all sorts of things which are assets, tools that you've got to get your needs met in life. But it also examines what the potential obstacles are to somebody getting their needs met, and we can whitter it down. It's really kind of simplified thing. If you are struggling to get your needs met in some way consistently, It will either be because you're in a toxic environment of some kind, you live in a terrible place, you work in a terrible company, you belong you live in an awful home, whatever it is. The second is if you've been traumatized in some way, and trauma is a big, a specialist area for me. I've a very great interest in both sleep issues and trauma issues. But if you've been psychologically traumatized, that will be very often just be a complete blocks, like an invisible brick wall to moving forward. But the third area, and where really, I don't know, 85% of my work is in skill development. It's a skill based thing. It really is. We get a huge percentage of our emotional nourishment and nutrition from our relationships with other people, but people are odd and quirky and strange and difficult, and we need skills to navigate our way through the maze of interpersonal relationships at work, at home, in our romantic lives, wherever. So a lot of it is about skill development and developing your own anti-anxiety skills and things like that. So it's don't just focus on these, it focuses on helping you develop the tools and using and understanding your innate and developed resources to get those needs met. It's a long answer, but
and of those 20 questions, another area is addiction as well. So a lot of people have addiction. So those there's sliders. It takes less than two minutes to complete the emotional needs check, and then so it's literally a couple of minutes, and you go through 20 areas. As John was saying, it's either safety, depression, anxiety, addiction, etc. So there's 20 core areas, which it's an algorithm which was basically created by John, really, through his experience of over 30 plus years psychotherapy expertise from around the world. Once you complete the emotional needs check the first time, it gives you a well-being score, as John said, and it's out of 160. That's broken down, and you can go into each one and see it. But when you go back and do the emotional needs check the second time, it shows you what your first score was, whether you're plus or minus. It also, the app has a notification that is, so a notification is sent to everybody who has downloaded the app. I think we do it at 9 p.m. on a Friday, because generally people use the app most often between about 8 and 10:30. So it's all when they're going to bed, whether they're trying to sleep or relax or whatever. But then, so they're sent a little notification reminder saying, check your well-being score again on a weekly basis. So it encourages people to see if they're improving or not improving, and if they're not improving, what things that their areas they need to focus on. And then every Monday in the evening as well, about 9 o'clock, they're sent a notification, because every Monday 2 new audios are uploaded into the app. There's a better sleep audio and a better mind audio, and these are relevant to what people are, what they've how they've completed the well-being score or the emotional needs check. So the app also gives little prompts, one on a Monday, one on a Friday, to encourage people to go in and listen to the latest audios, but also to do their well-being, to review their well-being score. So as I said,
go and download it, use it, play with it.
I will, definitely.
And have a really, really good look. And if you've got any ideas for improving it, please do just let us know.
That's great.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. And I just love the fact that you're enabling people to take sort of ownership of their own mental health and well-being by giving them that knowledge and that understanding.
If you know any small island communities that would be able to take advantage of that, put them in touch.
Or any chief ministers that you go with.
Let's not name names or be specific here. It's a general thing.
No, that's brilliant. We are recording it, aren't we? So we will share it on the Digital Greenhouse website, and I'll send a follow-up email with the links to everything as well.
Yeah, great. And thank you everyone for joining us.
It's lovely to see all those of you that we can see anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you, everyone.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.